Hi everyone, welcome. Happy Monday to you. We're inside the eclipse portal right now, and I know some of you are feeling it like I am. I'm curious what you're feeling, so we'll talk about that today. I also have my plant medicine deck here, and we're going to pull a theme and intention for the week ahead. And we'll talk about some of the transits and the moon transits for this week and see what's showing up for you. Last week in class we talked about where the eclipse portal is actually impacting you. So I want to touch on that a little bit today. Remember that the full moon was in Cancer, sidereal Cancer, and this is where Rahu is transiting. K2 is moving through Capricorn, 7 houses away, and this is also impacting, hi Nicholas, welcome. This is impacting the way that we feel the disconnection. So because Rahu is in Cancer, this is where the shadow is living within us right now, where we're being impacted by that shadow. So you can take a look at your Jyotish chart and actually see where that shadow is showing up in your chart specifically and where it's hitting you in your body, in your experience. And so let's just pause here. If you have your chart in front of you, or if you know your chart, you can take a peek at that right now. Look at where Cancer is. Sidereal Cancer is the number 4, and this is where Rahu is. So what part of the body, hi Jennifer, welcome. What part of the body is that for you? If you're not sure, you can type into the chat. Just share the house and I'll give you a hint about that body part. And this is the place of the impact. So how the shadow is living within you right now. Depending on your natal shadow, that will play a role in the dynamic for you. Okay, so let's just stick with what's showing up right now specifically. And second piece is to just kind of notice where Rahu, where the shadow lives in your chart. Those birth themes, those life themes, are going to impact how you experience this shadow that's showing up right now. So type into the chat, let me know what some of the themes are for you. And I'm going to be checking the group here. Sometimes it doesn't show up in my phone feed. So remember that the themes of Cancer, number 4, are the chest, heart, lung area. 4th house matters. So this has a lot to do with the emotional body, the feeling level. And 4th house matters have to do with mother and land, property, home. The themes of the 4th house impact us specifically in the heart, chest, and lungs. So we're going to feel this transit very deeply. And in fact, what I'm noticing is that a big theme in this transit is that more and more people are waking up to their emotional body, waking up to their emotional body wisdom. The feminine in particular is being enlivened right now. There is an emphasis on the feminine. Remember that Cancer is ruled by the moon, and the moon is your mother. So how you've been essentially imprinted by that relationship with your mother, the relationship you have with the emotional body, is also a part of that impact. They go hand in hand. Your mother's relationship with her emotions impacts your relationship with your emotions. That imprint is hardwired into you. And so in order to shift that dynamic, it takes some conscious effort. You can also notice in the chart where the moon sits. Wherever the moon is in your chart, that is your relationship with not only your mother, but your emotional body as a result of the relationship with mother. Remember that in the Vedic understanding, 25% of your birth karma comes from your mother, but 25% also comes from the 9-month gestation period. So what was happening while you were in utero? That's 50% of your karma coming from mother, essentially. The other 25% has to do with father and his lineage, and then 25% is the karma that you actually bring in with your own soul. But there is a large emphasis on the feminine, on the mother, and the role that she plays in your feeling level. That feeling level is your intelligence. So without that feeling level, a human becomes pretty dumb and ignorant and, walled off from experiencing life. We feel our way through life. We don't actually think our way through life, contrary to popular belief. So the emotional body is crucial for you to get your needs met, to understand your needs, to ask for your needs to be met, to be nourished in this life. So the emotional body is key, absolutely crucial. And I won't go off on my tangent about, all the disconnections with the emotional body, and the negation of the feminine and all of that, but suffice it to say, our culture is very resistant to feeling. So, okay, Nicholas shares Rahu in the first house right now, natally in the 9th house. Okay, so right now Rahu is in your head. The shadow is impacting your sense of self and how you experience yourself. Remember that Rahu has the tendency to compel or drive you towards something, though unconsciously. So this is going to be a cycle of deep inner inquiry. Rahu is driving you literally towards the self, in the head. First house is also kind of sense of self as a whole. So he's going to support you in moving towards more of yourself and self-awareness. So that can be a really good thing. Sometimes it comes through challenge. Rahu has a tendency to create challenge where he's impacting us. Remember, he is the shadow, so he is going to show us where we are unconscious, where we're not seeing clearly. But in that way, he's also helping us create more clarity. So, more clarity comes through this deeper inquiry. So it's sort of like peeling back the layers. Hi Sue, welcome. Hi Liesel, good to see you. Okay, let's see. Sue is saying Cancer in the 2nd house, natal moon in the 3rd. So right now Rahu is in your 2nd house. There's the throat, speech, communication, nourishment, money. Natal moon, 3rd house. Okay, So third house has to do with expression and the creativity, courage. So, Sue, the feeling level is going to support you on this level of deeper nourishment and more creative courage. And those two dynamics go hand in hand. More creativity, more courage, more nourishment. So as you move towards second house matters, you're going to deepen your third house. So that's quite a gift there. All right. Anyone else want to share what they're noticing in their chart based on this eclipse portal, the full moon in Cancer that we've just had, and the dynamics that are showing up? So let's start off with a little bit of the moon transits. Right now we have moon just moving into Libra, and moon has joined Jupiter here. So today moon is in Swati Nakshatra. This constellation is about building, planning, taking action steps to support the building, the momentum. And Vishvakarma is the ruling deity. Vishvakarma is the celestial architect. He literally created the Jyotish chart, the Ayanamsa. He is responsible for creating the structure of the sky. Hi, Lori, welcome. So, hi, Sarah, welcome. So, this is a day of taking those action steps to support you in getting the results that you want. Hi, Graham, welcome. So, step by step, we make progress. We get results. This is a day to put some of those steps into action. Now, it's a little tricky. We don't want to start anything brand new during an eclipse portal. It's not a time to start new projects. You wouldn't want to start a business, for example, during an eclipse portal. This is a delicate junction point between the lunar eclipse and the partial solar eclipse. So we just want to be mindful of that. It is a time for self-improvement, for spiritual work. It's a time for deep inquiry, a time to honor the shadow. Hi, Geeta, welcome. So just being mindful of that. We want to take action, but not brand new action steps that are like new projects, for example. Now, let me just get my bearings here. Yes, Nicholas. So that strong desire for improving self, physically, emotionally, wanting to feel better about yourself, that's being driven by the Rahu in the first house. Now, again, not necessarily a bad thing, right? That's actually a great resource. But we want to do it with gentleness so that it doesn't become more of that critical self-sabotage story, the I'm not enough piece. So we'll continue to work on that. I want to invite you to really hold that intention of how to be gentle with myself. What would be the gentle way? What's the middle way here? That's a big part of how I like to orient in terms of my work, is the Taoist understanding of the middle way, least force. So if you notice yourself forcing or completely not forcing at all, so the absence of force, we want a little tonicity, right? A little middle ground here. So how to find that gentleness? Okay, I'm trying to get my bearings here. All right, so this evening, later this evening, Moon will shift to Swati Nakshatra. And this is more about movement, momentum. Swati Nakshatra is ruled by Vayu, the wind god. So this carries us through tomorrow. There'll be more movement, more momentum. You may notice swift movement and swift changes. So be mindful of that. Especially swift emotional movement. Wednesday. So Wednesday, a moon enters Vishaka Nakshatra. And this is about integrating and aligning duality. The recognition that we need support from multiple sides in order to get results, in order to really grow on the path. We need multiple types of support. This is a constellation that's ruled by both Indra and Agni. So, Indra is the king of the gods, and Agni is the priest. And they both rely on each other. So, we need both in order to get results. So we will experience that need for more support on this day, on Wednesday. A good day to ask yourself, do I have the support in place that I need? And what resources do I need in order for more support? So Moon will shift into its debilitation sign, Scorpio, late Wednesday. And remember that when a planet is debilitated, there's a tendency to turn inward. So the energy actually turns inward, rather than, say, with an exalted planet, the energy is turning outward. So the inward gaze becomes more influenced by the emotional body from late Wednesday into Friday, late Friday to late Friday. More emotional body impact. Okay. Hi, Sarah. Welcome. Lori, question. Yeah, Lori, no problem. So she's asking, is it okay to work on ideas that were set in place prior to the eclipse, but weren't able to start? Yeah, so I mean, if you've already started this on some level before the eclipse, go for it. I wouldn't say like launch a new product right now. No. And the reason is because we're not really thinking that clearly during an eclipse portal. We can sort of have that shadowed experience with ideas, and sometimes things sound really exciting and good during an eclipse portal, only to come to find out it's like calm after the storm. It's like, oh, that wasn't actually that great of an idea. So it's not a time to make, big plans. Hi, Lisa, welcome. Does that make sense, Lori? Hope that answers your question. Okay, so we're on late Wednesday. Moon shifts to Scorpio. Moon will conjunct Mars. Mars is, remember, that fire energy. In the coming days, be mindful, Wednesday to Friday, be mindful of aggression, anger, the agitation that can take place with a Moon-Mars conjunction. It's a good time to release anger, to acknowledge any undigested or unexpressed anger, but be mindful of how that might impact your relationships and others. Safely release the anger without hurting yourself or others. So this is going to also impact the heart level, the emotional body level. Sometimes with a Moon-Mars conjunction, we actually see more devotion to the feminine, the divine mothers. And the other side of that is just extreme anger, and usually anger at mother specifically, or anger at women specifically. So just take note of that as we navigate Wednesday to Friday. So Thursday, Moon joins Mars in the constellation of Anuradha. This is a constellation that supports precision and fine detail. It's a constellation that has a lot to do with celebrating success and achievement. So there could be some self-criticism around what we haven't achieved or what we haven't succeeded in. And so, to just understand that critical gaze, we want to be mindful of it and then work with it consciously. It's a good day to maybe do some tapping, some expressive arts, to keep that emotion moving and to harvest the deeper messages that are in there. Okay? So we can always work on that as well. I will post in the group, and there'll be places to share your needs. Lisa's asking, does that mean that mother might be extra angry and aimed at me? Might be extra anger aimed at me. Could be. So be mindful of what's coming at you, and remember that this is a reflection of your own inner landscape. It's a time to identify and confront your own feelings and to keep them moving. Okay? So, yes, other people are going to be more angry, right? And they might not be aware of what that inner landscape is for themselves. They might not be able to identify what some of these emotions and feelings are. So that's why Jyotish is really helpful, because we can sort of have a little more compassion and understanding for how other people might be feeling, and then also to give ourselves a little more protection. Okay? Some of us might be feeling the anger towards our mothers, or old emotions might show up around mother. So that's just something to take into consideration. Hi, Nikki. Welcome. So Thursday, this conjunction between Moon and Mars actually gets more intense. And intensifying this conjunction is the fact that Rahu's giving his gaze on Moon and Mars. So this is going to sort of shadow the feelings that we have. It may feel like we're really right about this, and there might be a lot more tenacity. The smoke will clear later in the week. So on Friday, we're still working with some Anuradha very early in the morning until Moon shifts into the final constellation of Scorpio, which is Jyeshta. This has more to do with the mental body. And so this is where the mind starts to, come in and can fixate. Really work with the mind on Friday. There's an ability to be critical. There can also be a lot of focused awareness. Put the mind to good use. Good day to meditate. Good day to do some tapping. Get out in nature. All right, I have to plug my phone in here. Hopefully I can still see you. Let's see. So Saturday, Moon will shift into Sagittarius. And Saturday is one of those days, and this shift happens around 7:30. And Moon is shifting into that Gandanta of Mula Nakshatra. We've talked a lot about this in the past many months. Moon moves into conjunction then with Saturn. So then here's the grief, okay? The grief hits. I really want you to be mindful this week of suppressing or negating the anger. Because on the other side of that is going to be some sadness, some depression. And you'll start to feel that more Saturday and into Sunday. And into Monday next week. Because Moon hits Saturn. And this is a time to then attend to the grief that's living in the body. Lori. So be mindful of relationships, Lori. There's already a lot of heat in the heart center, okay? In your 4th house with Mars there. And Moon natally in the 7th house of relationships. So there can often be aggression towards relationships. And so notice how that plays a role in the personal mythology this week. What are the needs showing up? Why the aggression? What's the sensitivity? So use your resources, navigate using the anger as a resource. Why am I angry? What needs are not being met? Where do I feel the anger in my body? And harvest from that. So it can be a helpful resource. Remember that underneath the anger is your passion. We can't touch the passion without the anger. So we don't want to suppress it. So Saturday, Moon conjuncts Saturn, moves into that tricky, vulnerable Gandanta of Mula, joining Saturn there. This is when things start to unravel and upheaval, and we start to be able to deconstruct a little bit more, okay? So just be aware that there's going to be some uprooting taking place on Saturday. What is being released? What is being let go of? Hi, Michelle. Welcome. What needs to be let go of? Where might you be resisting that release? It's a time to uproot and release, especially on the emotional body level and on the level of grief. And this continues to into early Sunday, around 11:30. This is Mountain Time, by the way. On Sunday, Moon will then shift into the second constellation of Sagittarius, which is Purvashada. This has to do with the water goddess. And this is when we need to support the movement of the inner waters. Sometimes that's through tears. Sometimes it's being in or near water. And to use water as a support for cleansing and releasing. And then about 2:30 in the afternoon Mountain Time on Monday, Moon will shift into Uttarashada. This is the final constellation. Hi Ra, welcome. The final constellation of Sagittarius has more to do with integrity and right action. And we can talk a little bit more about that next week. It's very much about taking right action towards Dharma. So we have a couple transits this week. One, hi Johanna, welcome. So 2 transits this week that are very important. The first one is Venus. We'll have this breaking free of Venus from the serpent's tail. If you've been following along in the past many months, or I should say weeks, I've been talking about this Kalasarpa yoga. The Kalasarpa yoga is when all planets are hemmed in between Rahu and Ketu. This is broken this week. So finally, we get some relief from this extreme up and down dynamic. Venus will shift into Aquarius late today, so near closer to 11 o'clock tonight, Mountain Time. So out from the compression of Sun and Ketu and Mercury. So out of Capricorn, away from this intense pressure that's been happening in Capricorn. It's been very challenging for many. It's brought a lot of pressure, a lot of sickness. The physical body has been very challenged by this dynamic. Ketu is the restructuring planet, and Venus has been in a restructuring phase for the past many weeks, and getting burned by the sun in the process. So it's been very hot and very painful for many. Remember that Venus is the karaka, the indicator of relationships, as well as health, vitality, life force energy, and the finest feeling level. He's also the planet of the feminine, creativity, art, beauty. And these are the parts that have been in a restructuring phase. So some of this pressure eases up late today. There is, some heat and pressure that will then come from Mars and Saturn via gaze. But fortunately, Saturn and Venus do all right together. Mars and Venus do all right together. Venus will be in Aquarius, which is also ruled by Saturn. So the pressure will still be there, but it'll be a little bit different, a little less intense. Aquarius brings the breaking, literally the breaking of the dam. So this is the transit where you start to break free and the gates open, in other words. So relief is coming. There's still a lot of awareness that will be had in this process. However, that will support a deeper release. So the restructuring of Venus is now completing in this process. We're still feeling the conjunction, the tight conjunction of Ketu and Sun. And then later this week, the Sun will shift into Aquarius as well. And that happens next Monday, late next Monday. So we get a little bit of a relief from that Sun-Venus conjunction, because starting Monday, we'll get the heat again. They'll be in conjunction in Aquarius. This intensifies relationships. It causes heat in the body. It can burn up the life force. So this week, try to rest. Try to come back to some sense of ground. The body, literally Sun, is being restructured by Ketu right now. So you'll notice this week that there's something changing in the body, physically and spiritually. Late in the week, this happens with the mind. The mind starts its conjunction, its close conjunction with Ketu. And there'll be some restructuring in the mind, the mental body. So we're getting this restructuring through Ketu, through the tail of the serpent, physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, all 4 levels of the body. And as planets drop out of the tail of the serpent, they're getting restructured and reshaped. And so I would encourage you to just be noticing at this time, what am I releasing and what am I inviting in? So if I'm releasing, I'm making space for something new. So what am I going to use this space for? How do I want to work with this space? Yeah. What is the space that's being created? So type into the chat, let me know, what are you releasing right now? And what are you opening to? And I'm going to shuffle my plant medicine deck while you're doing that, and then we'll draw a card for this week. So what am I releasing right now? What am I creating space for? What am I closing to? Letting go of? And then what am I opening to? You know, what am I creating all this space for in my life? What am I opening to? What am I closing to? So type into the chat, share what's showing up in your personal journey. So Lori's releasing control. It's no longer serving. Creating space for more trust and creativity. And also planning to do a small 3-day cleanse to support that release. Good for you, Lori. Yeah, the eclipse is a good time. The eclipse portal is a good time to support that release process and be eating gently and, not a serious cleanse. That's more spring and fall, but to support that release process in the emotional body. And right now it's physical as well. Sue is saying, opening to asking for what I want and need, closing to the expectation of others knowing what I want and need. This is a good one, Sue. Yeah, when we're really intuitive and sensitive, we often assume other people are too, and that they're in tune with their emotions and their knowing. And, none of us can actually read each other's minds. I mean, I'm very intuitive, and I like to remind my clients, I'm not a psychic. I still need you to tell me what you need. So this is a reminder, Sue. It sounds like that not everyone is as sensitive and intuitive as you. So honor your needs and learn how to express them so that others can walk with you and meet you where you are. And some won't walk with you, and that's fine. The ones that can honor your needs will walk with you. Welcome, Jean. Nicholas is sharing, releasing excessive self-criticism, opening to the valid points of the critical voice, but also releasing the inner rebel. Ooh. So, releasing that criticism, opening to this, the resources within that critical voice, but also releasing the inner rebel. I'd be curious to hear what that inner rebel has to say. Maybe there's an image in there. And where you feel that rebel in your body. Ask that rebel to share a message with you, Nicholas, and share with us in the group. Let us know what you find out. That sounds intriguing. Sounds like two sides, the critic and the rebel. And Ra is saying, releasing self-doubt. Too much in the past, control over outcomes, making space for myself. I think it says, I think you mean too much in the past, there's been control over outcomes. Okay. And now you're making space for the self. Got it. Wonderful. So what does it look like to make space for yourself? So as you release this self-doubt, what kind of space is opening and available for yourself? Still got the cough. It's better though. Let me just pause for a moment. So Ra is saying, I'm creating a loving space, a peaceful space, productive space. Great. Thanks, Ra. Lisa is closing to self-doubt, creating space for, I don't quite know, but trust in myself for whatever does come, creating space, wiggle room to find my own integrity, even as I get hit again and again from forces that can knock me off of my integrity, out of what's true. So what I imagine, Lisa, is it's kind of like getting scraped down to the core essence. And I want to invite you to just keep finding that place within you, which is your truth. So find the self-doubt in the body, and then find a place in the body that feels the opposite of that. And keep leaning into that part of you that feels the opposite of the self-doubt. I know you've shared a lot in the past about this central channel and the strength that you feel there. Perhaps that's a resource. Hold on to that. Stay close. And try to keep it simple. So Nicholas, I'm imagining we're talking about the rebel here. So that I'm not worth less just because I have things about myself that I want, need to improve. The excessive critical voice like a tyrant. You're not worthy of love until you improve these things. The rebel counters that by discrediting anything the critical voice has to say. So it does sound like these are two opposite pieces, two opposing forces, two polarities. We'll work with that in session, Nicholas. For now, I want to invite you to just keep noticing the dialogue between the two and the personal mythology with each of these parts of you. There's something important here from each one of these parts of you, okay? So keep leaning in and harvesting from that, and we'll pick this up in session. Okay, hi Liz, welcome. And Nicole sharing, opening to harnessing my already vast resources and putting them to good use with the inner authority. Closing to caring what others think about how I share my gifts. Great. Sounds like you know what you're doing. I'm looking forward to hearing some of those results. Okay, let's pick a card for this week. I'm going to pull a card from my plant medicine deck. I've been shuffling here for the last few minutes, so just going to do a blind pull. Just to set a theme and intention for this week. Chiming bells. So the key word here, keywords are hope, joy, inspiration, nourishment, optimism, peace, renewal. Affirmations. I joyously celebrate my physical existence. I open my heart to the loving energy of the Divine Mother. That will probably be helpful midweek. So, opening more to that expansive energy of the Divine Mother and opening to more nourishment, optimism, peace, renewal. Chiming bells. I love that. All right, everyone. Thanks for joining me today. And I encourage you to set your intentions for your week and to clarify what am I releasing and what am I opening to in this cycle. We're still in the midst of the eclipse portal, and we've got another week or so to go until the new moon. And in this phase, we are deep in release. About 10 days. New moon will be in Aquarius and Dhanishta Nakshatra on the 15th. So until then, we're in deep release. Support that clearing. If you want some extra support right now, reach out to me. Every week I offer free Dharma coaching sessions to help you get a little more clarity and support in your process. I still have some spots, I think, for next week. So reach out to me and I'll try to fit you in. Okay, everyone, be well, be gentle with yourself.